Every once in a blue moon, the French-German rivalry can actually produce something positive, rather than worldwide destruction. In this case, it has to do with big tech getting their justly deserved comeuppance. A couple days ago, I reported on a German court fining YouTube 100,000 euros for basically being actually, does your legal system triumph over our terms of service? We don't know just yet. And at the end of the day, 100,000 euros is chump change, right? It's pocket lint for a company like Google, and so France said, oui, we agree. We shall one-up the Dr. Germans. And so now they have fined Google 425 million pounds. Oh. I'm starting to become a Francophile. And the best part of it, that's not the end of it. They're also threatening them with further £750,000 fines per day if Google doesn't come up with proposals within 2 months. Good. Very good. Though, here's the thing. This is a little bit of a more double-edged sword. On the one hand, I welcome practically anything that hurts big tech at this point in time. The little shits. There was even an interview a little while ago where Google CEO Sundar Pichai, whatever, here was like, oh, I'm worried about this. It's as if the internet is becoming more censorious. Like, you shut up. You absolutely shut up. You are the reason why we are here right now, Google. But what is happening here is I can kind of see the argument, because the core of this is that they are being fined this because they haven't come up with any good proposals. They have been negotiating in bad faith about how they are going to compensate publishers and news agencies for their content. That might sound a little bit strange, like why would Google compensate publishers and news publishers for their content? Well, they use various news aggregators, and they're also arguing that Google, being the largest search engine, is usually the medium through which you discover these articles in general, and that is absolutely true. And, well, I can show you this article right here. The Atlantic on pace to lose $10 million this year. And that was a good year, by the way. That was COVID boosting their subscription numbers. They still lost $10 million, that being an actual publication, of course. The worst part is, I think they mentioned that they earned something like there's an average of 10,000 subscribers each month, and they're still losing $10 million. Like, these top-heavy, ridiculously bloated news agencies are not sustainable. Despite all of the advantages in the metrics, in the marketing, despite having massive stars pumping out content, they're still bleeding money like nobody's business. And this is happening across the industry, which is why now certain nations, France being one of them, is trying to make a Google pay them for providing access to their content. Now, this is a bit of a complicated issue here, because on the one hand, it's the nonsense argument, for example, that right now I'm using the Daily Mail. Or, well, I'm not really using the Daily Mail, I am using it simply to say, look at this, and look at this. I'm essentially using this article as a source to prove to you that I'm not pulling this right out of my cavernous anus, though, to be honest, you'd probably trust me even if I just simply told you. And the idea is that now Google owes the Daily Mail money. I keep hitting the fluffy thing. Owes Google, all the way around, Google owes Daily Mail money because they are using their work, quote unquote, and they are profiting of it via ad revenue. nonsense, absolute nonsense. When you're clicking on this video, you're not clicking on it because of a Daily Mail article. In fact, you don't even know that it is a Daily Mail article until you've clicked on it and until I've brought it up. You click on it because of my style of coverage of these things. You click on a Sargon video because of the way he talks about things. You click on a Tim Pool video because of the way he talks about things, etc, etc, etc. The article is a distant second or third or fourth reason why any of this is happening. But again, these are mainstream publications with a lot of power, a lot of connections, and they know whose buttholes to finger to get the way they want it to. There has already been some agreements struck, I believe, in Australia, because here's the thing too, I do agree to a certain level. For example, the idea of the news aggregator, where Google simply just steps in and takes articles from various news sources and then presents it to people as a service. You could argue a licenses fee is worth it there, because at that point, the only thing Google is doing is basically sending out its little webhooks to fetch articles. So the article is actually the primary service being provided there. I can see that, and again, anything that hurts big tech. Now, on the other hand, this also gets even more complicated, because if we're talking about the idea of licensing out this content, well, I should be asking a licensing fee from YouTube, from Google, because theoretically I have a contract with YouTube and Google where they get to place ads on my videos, but they don't pay me licensing fees. See, this is one of those things where the old world meets the new, where we don't really know how the internet works, legally speaking, which is also the reason why we're in this whole mess to begin with, because little shits like this, who whinge about the internet being less free, whilst being the cause why it's less free, they want to build up barriers for everybody else, while saying, no, we don't need any laws, we don't need any restrictions, we just want to be tyrants, don't you know? They have created an incredibly unfair playing ground, where they have completely monopolized the search engine, and then look down at the other news medias and go like, peasants, beg us, and also, of course, play a dirty game, as we see on YouTube, where certain authoritative sources like CNN and to a degree even Fox News get preferential treatment over others. It's not a fair and level playing field by any stretch of the imagination. And then, of course, the legal system is going like, right, this is unfair. Like, you're not supposed to do this. You're not the arbiter of what people can and can't see. Stop it. You're going to have to pay for the content that you use without providing much in the way of an additional service. I entirely agree. Now, I don't agree with the way it's done. Again, we're kind of going back and forth here because I'm all for hurting big tech, yet I'm opposed to a country going, we're going to impose upon you an arbitrary license fee for the use of material, which, again, let's say that, in the case of the news aggregator, I see the point, but somebody just searching for a topic, say, Google find, and the Daily Mail article pops up at the top, that's not Google's problem. They shouldn't pay a licensing fee for that. If anything, there should then be an entry fee on the article, because that's just a dude who uses a search engine, I keep hitting the thing, uses a search engine to find the thing and then read it on his own. See? It's a complicated question, really, which I think I'm going to have to maybe delve a little bit more into at some point in the future, because there are multiple sides to this story. There absolutely is. And of course, there's the potential ramifications for YouTube content as well. And the very idea that I, for example, should pay a licensing fee for using a free article available to anyone on the internet, and mind you, an article as well that of course earns money off its own incestuous advertisement, of its own clickbaity stuff, of its own look at all of these articles down the side here. Look at all of this. Like, the idea that the Daily Mail is not getting a benefit from Google allowing people to click on it, I of course am using an archive link because screw you, is kind of ridiculous. There is absolutely a win-win situation that can be had here, and preferably, it would simply be a situation where Google is just a bloody search engine, instead of an algorithmic engine that weighs up their friends and deranks their foes. If we could return to the YouTube and the Google of 10 plus years ago, that would probably benefit literally everyone. And that is what we should be focusing on. Removing Google's ability to arbitrarily list or delist content and actually forcing them to provide a level playing field, and then we'll see who sinks and we'll see who swims. I am quite confident in my buoyancy. I'm less confident in the $10 million losing company during COVID season. Anywho, until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.